Herzlich willkommen zurück zu Let's Play The Stanley Parable.
Ich muss sagen, ich hasse den Platz hier, also wo ich sitze.
Ja, da sitze ich normal. Ne? Siehst du irgendwas?
Nein, ich hab...
Ich spring da runter. Hier. Weil ich meine Karte
sind. Wirklich? Schau mal nach oben.
Das wurde echt ein Problem.
Der hasst uns.
Ob das wirklich so die Anfänge davon waren?
Stimmt, könnte man sich eigentlich auch denken, ne?
Ob das wirklich so die... Keine Ahnung.
Das normale, wobei dann hätte man eigentlich gleich die richtige Textur draufgepackt, logischerweise. Denke ich.
Sicher? Nein, ich glaube nicht. Nee, ist doch nicht, dass die Anfänger sehr so wissen, ich glaube.
Warum musste der jetzt weg?
Oh, das ist nicht mehr lustig.
Danke.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Ich habe Angst vor einem Schockmoment. Also. Okay. Ich glaube, die ich auch. Ja, oder Portal fand ich auch ziemlich toll. Gott sei Dank.
Okay. Dann, was machen wir?
Reingehen. Was sagt er uns?
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it.
Umdrehen,
If he
umdrehen,
checked
umdrehen.
over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Okay, geh einfach weiter.
Ich weiß nicht, ob er uns nur Angst machen will. Tim, schau her.
Nee, ich wollte nur was an den Kopfhörer einstellen.
Wir gehen rechts und gehen ans Telefon.
When Stanley came to a set of two open, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ich war einfach dran vorbeimarschieren.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Ich muss sagen, das Spiel von der Grafik her
Stanley, your chance to redeem yourself,
wirkt aber ein
to
bisschen
put your work aside,
alt.
to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
Ich habe jetzt echt Angst. Dieses Spiel hat es manchmal echt mit den Enden.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife? They'd want to commit their life to you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Los.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do.
Dann nehmen wir einen anderen
Now he's
Button.
pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Geht nicht, ne?
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The
Ich weiß schon, was das
thought
wird.
excited him terribly.
Hannes.
Welche Boys?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Warte, jetzt auf die Küche schauen.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Hast du?
Nein, du sollst mal drücken. Okay, dann geht die 3 anscheinend nicht.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Du kannst dir schon denken, was hier passiert, ne? Halt, geh erstmal dahin, dass du siehst, das Bett.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Mach mal.
Ja, mach.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Nein, da machst du jetzt nichts. Mache gar nichts.
Ich glaube, man muss drücken, sonst geht's nicht weiter.
Probier es einfach, probier's, lass noch. Oder drück G8 oder sowas. Mach mal.
G8.
Okay.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And
Ich weiß nicht.
Ich glaube, es sind wir anfangen. Das kommt.
Ja, natürlich.
Okay, ich muss gucken, ob er was anderes wieder sagt.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
Was machen wir?
Wir
Wollen wir rechte
gehen-
Tür gehen und dann wirklich die erste links gehen?
Nein, wir gehen jetzt mal links und nach unten.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Da nach rechts.
Jetzt noch... Ach ja, stimmt. Das ist eine erste
Yet there
Meeting
was
Room.
not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go
nee,
up to his
da.
boss's office,
Können wir rein.
hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ah, warte, geh noch mal kurz rein. Einmal noch. Und schau mal, was da so drin ist. Irgendwie alles anklicken oder so. Zum Beispiel ein Wesen.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow,
stimmt.
just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Du willst nicht hier runter, ne? Schau mal nach rechts. Du willst selbst hier nicht runter, ne?
Ne,
Ich auch nicht.
Feierhose.
Nein.
Nur
But
Tiefgarage.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then
Wirklich?
he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back. the fresh air of a world outside this one.
Der hört nie auf zu
Let
reden.
me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Das ist jedes Mal echt verwirrend.
Oh.
Halt, jetzt mal kurz eine Pause.
Okay. Was?
Wir sehen uns in der nächsten Folge wieder.
Okay, bis zum Endscreen.
Tschüss. Hallo Leute und herzlich willkommen auf dem Endscreen zu der 6. Folge The Stanley Parable. Hannes ist auch hier.
Kam so ein bisschen vor, als wäre Stanley auf Drogen.
Stimmt, hätte sein
So
können.
mit Sternen und Rot. Nee, Rot sehen kommt erst in der nächsten Folge. Also das Ende dann, wo es alles rot wird.
Ja.
Aber das ist. Ja,
Spoiler halt, weißt du?
der Endscreen spoilert eh schon alles. Also dann, bis zur nächsten Folge. Ciao.
Tschüss.